All right, let's do it. So I'm gonna share my screen with you guys and give you a bit of an idea. Again, I'm gonna share my actual checklist, like what I actually made my team use to convert a piece of the seller business. So let me just do this here. Okay, let's do this. All right. So can somebody tell me if they see a PDF says rehab sellers
I
checklist on
see
it?
it. Yep.
You see it? All right, great. Okay, awesome. So it's a little bit weird because I like to see it myself. I don't know what you guys see, what's happening, but um, so pretty much I'll start from you know top to bottom. Typically, when we get an appointment to actually meet with a seller that we feel pretty much that they're ready to sell to list their property. The first things that we do is you see step one here. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit more here. I think hopefully you see it a lot better now. So essentially, we, when you're getting ready to actually meet with a seller about to potentially talk to them about selling their property, the first things that you really should be doing, you want to confirm if there's any violations, liens, or anything like that. This is something that sometimes even seasoned agents kind of overlook or forget to do. This does two things. One, you come in there prepared and you are coming in with already like value off of the rip to the seller because you're kind of showing you've done your homework. And then secondly, you want to know what you're walking yourself into. Sometimes if there's certain things happening on the behind the scenes with the property, say certain violations and things like that, it may you may want to use the discretion, maybe not even take the listing altogether. So these are real simple things. You can go on the Department of Buildings website and you can simply put in property address and pretty much very easily find out what's really going on with it. If you have geodata, which I like to use, or property shark, again you could kind of find out this information. So again, you using your time wisely. If you find out there's certain things that this seller needs to take care of, or maybe it doesn't make sense for you to meet with them immediately. So this should save you time, effort, money. Also, if you haven't taken a listing and finding this out a lot later, which honestly in my early career has happened to me before. And again, I use geodata. I check the DOB website. I like to come to any listing appointment with 4 to 6 comps. A mixture of active and sold. The best mixture I would like to say is usually 3 active and then 3 sold, just to kind of get an idea of what people are putting their properties on the market versus what they're actually selling them for. And then, you going over this with the seller. So, um, step two for us typically is, we actually have the listing appointment. We meet with the seller at the property. We're assessing their motivation. Um, you know, getting the first thing always for a listing appointment for us is we're getting a tour of the property. So typically, they'll show us around the home, tell us about any things that they've changed in the property, any updates. Once we've kind of done that, and we're simultaneously building rapport with the person so they feel comfortable with us. Talking about family stuff, we see any pictures and things like that. And then we essentially have a sit down, and we always like to ask, um, what their motivations are. What is the thing that's kind of like um even prompting them to want to go on the market. We usually kind of had this brief conversation over the phone, but when you're in person, is really when you want to like delve a lot deeper into that. So once you've actually done that, then you start talking about numbers. And um, I won't go too much into detail with this, but I've done a class on going over CMA. If you guys are interested, that's something that we could put in the calendar as well, just to like how to tell a story with your CMA. We're always telling a story with our CMA. We want to make sure that we're controlling the conversation and backing it with legitimate information. So that usually makes it easier to get agreement about whatever price you're suggesting. So agreement on price, agreement on timeline. When are we looking to put the property on the market? Does it coincide with what their plans are? And then ultimately, you want to get the document signed before you leave, right? So you're leaving with a listing, right? So this is kind of the pathway that we're going down. So once you've done that for us, we essentially are the first thing immediately is we're coordinating a photo shoot with, our professional photographer, as well as, the sellers, if there's tenants involved, just making sure that everybody is on the same page about when this is happening and whatever things need to be done to the property beforehand. Um, that goes, along with ensuring the property is photo ready. Um, any things that maybe was not typically defined in terms of the listing documents or the different details of the property. When we do the photo shoot, that's typically when we're filling in those sort of those filling in those blanks. Things when maybe the boiler was changed or whatever the case may be about the property and details you didn't catch the first time around. The photo shoot is usually when we're kind of filling in those blanks. So for us, we're big on efforts in social media. So, we do a lot of like video content. So we'll usually shoot that we're there, getting ready to put a property in the market. Something that I would encourage you guys, you want to definitely be using your social media. Even if right now your followership is not very high or you don't feel so confident with doing video content, it's really with social media is really just about making content, just putting it up, and then you refine that with time. So that's important for us. And then ultimately, putting up a for sale sign while we're doing the photo shoot, assuming that the seller has allowed us to be able to do so. So moving from there, you're essentially now launching the property. So far though, really quick, just so I'm not just kind of breezing through everything. Is there any questions you guys may have? I don't really see the chat anymore, but is there anything? So is everything that I went through so far pretty clear? I would take silence, I guess, is okay. Somebody doesn't want to jump on the mic or chat. Okay, I think it's pretty straightforward for the most part. I think later is when maybe some questions and things may come. All right, great. So, what's that? Or somebody I think was speaking on the mic.
Yeah, I got a quick question. I just wanted to find out if when you get approved, do you get approval in written form to do video content?
Oh, you mean like from the seller, like, hey, I'm gonna do some video stuff. Your property's gonna be involved in it, so on and so forth. I'm actually letting them know. Is that what you mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, typically, part of our, again, I didn't want to go because there's so much information I'm going to be going over now. Because again, I'm taking you from the point of you signing a listing document and getting agreement with a seller that you're going to take the listing all the way to closing. It's hard right now for me to kind of go into super detail by every different facet, but I've done different other classes where I delve deeper into certain aspects, like, going over your actual listing appointment, like the things you're going over. And I say all that to say, typically during then is when I'm going over a marketing plan and we're talking to them about our social media efforts and other things that we're going to be doing sort of by default when they, pretty much agree about to do business with us. So that being said, they kind of already know these are the type of things that we do. And they're pretty much agreeing to it by doing business with us. So we usually don't need to get like some sort of separate approval. And more often than not, sellers they'll tell you kind of what they are okay with, what they're not okay with. If we're taking certain photos in the house, it's like, hey, can you Photoshop this? We don't want this to be in the pictures, or let me move this out. But they'll usually be, pretty forward about things they're okay with what you're doing and not doing. So hopefully that, kind of answers your question. So,
Great.
okay, perfect. So moving forward, again, a photo shoot now is done. It's completed. You got your pictures. Now we're into step 4. Again, this is all these things too, guys, are things that me and my team do. What I always say is in my classes, find the value in the things I say that are relatable to you and how you want to do business. You shouldn't carbon copy anyone. It should just be like little things that you're taking from everyone that just kind of molds and fits your business, So just, I say all that as kind of like a disclaimer. It would be great to session about telling your story, what you see, and how to negotiate. Yeah, that's probably the class that I've done that I think people, I get the most feedback from. People interact and enjoy. So I'll talk to Christina about setting up to do that class. Especially because I know people struggle a lot um, with, with what's the word? With validating your worth and what you should be asking for in compensation, and you really being confident about it. So we could definitely go back and do that class again. So going back to launch property. So again, you know, you want to go through your photos, always for professional photography, never pictures on the phone. We're pretty much picking the best shots that we're taking. Um, for us, we'll create pretty much like a G doc with property description. That's pretty much for our assistant because we have a system where essentially, you know, our Google Drive is pretty much where all of our businesses run, all the documents, all that stuff like that. So our system goes into the G Drive and essentially has everything he needs to go into MLS, Street Easy, any other source to actually put the listing up for us. So that's pretty much again our process. Um, so I think we could kind of jump to the next step because all of this stuff is more administrative stuff that you need to do to put a property up. Once you actually have your property listed, you know, typically you'll start getting phone calls. I would definitely encourage farming, you know, for circle prospecting. I mean, actually, I think right now we're not allowed to. So be careful with that. But you want to find creative ways, you know, whether it's door knocking in the area and things to just create more exposure, not just lean on the internet. So once we do that, we start getting phone calls. We're calling fire buyers. Whenever you actually get a phone call, especially if it's a direct, you want to vet the person and make sure that you're not just showing the property just to show the property. You want to make sure they're pre-approved. It's a recent pre-approval. Um, and then obviously, if you're actually doing any showings, there's several disclosure forms that need to get signed. So you want to make sure you're doing this the right way, getting everyone to sign everything that's supposed to sign when they're actually seeing the property. So moving forward to the next step, we typically like to do open houses within the first week to 2 weeks of when we launch a property. So I would suggest, you know, you very much do that unless you have some special circumstances you can do open houses. But if you can, even if there's tenants, you want to just, you know, do it safely, but you definitely want to hold an open house. So typically we're touching base with all parties, make sure that we have a mutual time to actually do this open house. And then we pretty much have a list of the things that we need to make sure that every open house goes the way that we anticipate. And that, you know, the integrity of our brand. That includes, you know, we have open house signs, which, you know, you guys, case if you don't have your own signs, the office has signs, you know, balloons, which we also have in the office. All the disclosure forms and things are, again, documents that you can easily get from the office or print yourself. Because of COVID, we're always bringing now masks, sanitizer, booties. Um, Again, you know, these are investments we made in our own business, and we have, you know, accessible for people because obviously, you know, you kind of want to have that. People are always going to show up and not have sanitizer or masks and things like that. So it's a good thing to bring to your open houses. What we've done in terms of logging people, and I would very strongly recommend to all you guys, whether you're new in the business or not, you should be creating a website for your property very easily through command. It literally takes less than 5 minutes. And we use that as pretty much sort of a open house registration. And what you can do is, if you have an iPhone, it's very easy to create a QR code for any website. So we'll have the website already made. We'll create a QR code the day of the open house. We'll have it saved in our phones. And pretty much when people come to attend the open house, they simply scan that QR code and it opens up the website. So now they don't not only have the website, the photos, or the information about the listing, but then they also have registration on the bottom. So now when those people come, you know, you're not writing anything down or their names or any of that stuff. They literally are registering straight to the website and it goes it goes automatically into your command. So if you're not already doing that, make your life easier. You want to do that. It's just so much easier. Um, so again, that's pretty much rounding out you know, completing our open houses. Once we do all these things, it sets us up to actually have a successful open house. And then we pretty much, you know, go back to, you know, what's not already mentioned here is obviously you want to call back any of the people that you know attended your open house and see if there's interest. So all that being said, I know that was quite a bit that I've kind of ran through right there. Any questions about any of the steps that I passed that I went through now? 4 through 6. Questions, concerns, any of that stuff?
Yeah, Emilio, on step one, you mentioned before anything, you know, check any violation and go to the Department of Buildings. But the Department of Building, it doesn't mention lawsuit, especially
Yeah.
co-op. Does it? Or where would you check for that?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, man, I don't try to drive myself too crazy. I do my due diligence, but I also, because I'm dealing with so much volume, I'm not like having the time to pour into every property, every person that wants to do some sort of business, and I'm able to like check every which way thing. What I rely on is I go to the Department of Building website. I use geodata. If I check both of those and I don't see anything that is a cause of concern about a lien or a violation or lawsuit or anything like that, then I just pretty much proceed with assuming that there's nothing. And then what I would do is when I'm actually at the property, I'll ask, hey, are you guys aware of any issues you may have with this property, so that we're not blindsided, because it's not in either of our best interests, whether it's me or the seller, for them to withhold information, especially if it's negative stuff that's going to cause a problem with selling their property. So that's kind of how it is I go about that. So I just really check those two sources. It could be a geodata or a property shark and the Department of Building's website. Typically, whatever you need to find, it's in there. So hopefully that answers your question, Louis.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, perfect. Is there anything else so far, guys? Again, from
Emilio?
launching your property to doing an open house.
Really quickly, people are actually texting and asking in the chat if you would mind sharing this checklist. They love it. So
Yeah, no, yeah. What I'm gonna do is, guys, so that we are mutually beneficial in here, especially because this is something that's personalized to my team. I don't mind sharing it. What I'm gonna do is at the end of the class, I'm gonna leave a link for our our REHub Google page. If you put a review there, talking about your experience in this class and you learned something, whatever the case, and just let me know that you've indeed done that. I will gladly email you this checklist.
all right, you got it.
Yeah. So just remind me, just in case I forget in the class, to put down the link and my email, because you guys are just literally do the review. You'll email me that it's been done, whatever the case, and then I'll email you back the this checklist.
Got it.
Okay. Awesome. So yes, any other questions from 4 to 6? Launching property, showing property, preparing for open house. Are we clear? That's good. All right, cool. So let's move forward. So pretty much after you've done the open house, you've made calls, you've checked in with the agents, you checked in with direct buyers to make sure that there's interest or not interest or feedback for your client. You review offers, right? Because more often than not, if you take these steps and you priced your property in the field of where it should be, of market value, you should get offers. At the very minimum, hopefully just one. So at this point, we review offers, right? So this is our process of doing it. So we assess qualification for each offer. The way that we do that is we don't just take whatever it is that's been submitted and just kind of take it for face value. Unfortunately, it's very easy to forge documents. It's easy to do a lot of funny business that people do very much do these days. So what we'll typically do is the first call that's being made when the offer gets submitted is we're calling the loan officer, whoever it is that issued that pre-approval. Typically at the bottom of the pre-approval, you'll have contact information. You'll call them and say, hey, listen, I have somebody here that looks like you're working with. They want to put an offer on this property. This is what the taxes are. This is what the offer amount is. Is this something that it can indeed successfully be done with regards to the mortgage? And if you can share the DTI, which is debt to income ratio, that'd be even better, because then kind of how much room the person has, and if the deal is a very tight deal, maybe it behooves you to instruct your client that they maybe want to go with another offer. So those are things to look into. That's always the first thing you want to do when you're entertaining an offer as a listing agent. And then you want to verify proof of funds. So the more information you could get, the better. You get a full statement. Kind of really look at it as well too, to verify it doesn't look funny. You usually can tell most of the time with like forged or funny documents. You just need to look closely, account numbers and things, when the statement was issued, things like that, the names, the addresses. So once that's been done, that's when we will proceed and actually present the offer to our seller. When we're having that sit down with our seller, we've already done the homework. We've done our due diligence. We know that these are legitimate offers, that these people are serious about putting in. And then it just, again, makes both the seller and our lives a lot easier. So once we've done that, then, essentially we will hopefully choose among the offers that are on the table, something nobody needs to be countered back or anything like that. and then we will issue an acceptable offer. So the reason the terminology there is extremely important. Acceptable offer. Reason acceptable is very different from accepted. Is acceptable is making it clear, and we also not only just rely on that word, but we also further elaborate when we're speaking to the agents on the other side. Is, hey, listen, or even if it's a direct buyer, the conversation is, hey, first off, thank you for submitting this offer. We really appreciate it. Upon review, the seller is happy with this offer, and this is indeed an acceptable offer for us to be able to proceed forward. So if you decide that if you and your client would like to do an inspection, great. We just recommend that you move urgently, because again, this offer is acceptable. We will move forward with it. But however, until a contract is signed, we're not bound to one another, and making that extremely clear, because again, things change, buyers change their mind, inspection goes back. So we like to, keep the door open until a contract actually gets signed, because that's just how it is that you do, best by your client. You just want to be forward about, your process and the seller's process, so that you're not doing bad business or people don't get upset at you or whatever the case may be. So that's pretty much reviewing the offers and moving to the step forward. And then essentially, I should just realize a typo. Under contract, it's supposed to be under contract. So once you've actually done that, then you're proceeding forward. And then what we are typically doing is putting to our assistant to put together a deal sheet, which is just pretty much a transaction information sheet, and getting everybody on the same page about that this transaction is happening. These are what the numbers are, the purchase price, so on and so forth. And once once that's actually done, honestly, this is where this is when things become hopefully less stressful, because now you have two parties that have actually agreed. You have a contract already signed, and really your job, or our job, is to monitor the transaction. You just want to be checking in maybe 2 times a week, making sure progress is being done, titles being pulled, appraisals being ordered, and just movement, in the right direction. So So pretty much for us on the contract, these are all things that I just pretty much mentioned. You obviously want to keep your client in the loop. Typically, our seller clients, we call them at minimum 1 time a week, and just kind of let them know how things are going. It's like, hey, these updates are happening. We just got a appraisal order, whatever the case may be. So that's pretty standard stuff. Again, once you're in the contract, for the most part, that's when a lot of the heavy lifting, usually is kind of done, hopefully. But there's also a lot of issues that arise too, depending on the transaction. So once you kind of went through, say, it could be 45 days, 60 days, it could be 90 days, somewhere in that range. You are hopefully getting to setting up a closing date, right? So once clear to close is issued by the purchaser in the bank, that means that the deal is pretty much ready to go to the closing table and close out. So in this instance, that's when you want to start talking to the other agent, if there is one, or directly to the buyer about a final walkthrough. You want to do it 3 days within the closing. Make sure that nothing has changed in the property, whatever the agreed upon condition or anything that was supposed to be changed or anything like that have actually been done. Hopefully that is nice and seamless. We have noticed as well, when you are getting reviews from your clients, guys, get the reviews before you close. Do not wait until after you close. You probably won't get the review, or you'd have to chase them down more than you probably want to. So that's something another top agent in the office pretty much recommended, suggested to me, and it's been a world of a difference. I don't have to chase people down. Even if they had the best experience, just people are busy once they are closed. They're moving or doing all these things. So that week of, when you have a closing day, you fulfilled your duties, ask for the review, and I promise you'll get it quick and easy. So that's pretty much our process. And then pretty much we work with our assistant. All the documentation gets sent over to him to create the commission bill. Obviously, if you don't have an assistant, it's things you're doing yourself. You send over the commission bill to the attorneys. You attend the closing, collect the check, take photos. Always want to take photos. for your marketing plan, your social media, all that good stuff. And then pretty much all the other stuff is just related admin stuff, just closing out the listing, wherever it is that it's listed. So for the most part, that's pretty much a gist. That's me sort of powering through again from the point of getting an appointment that a seller is ready to sell to you actually closing the property. Again, I had to speed through quite a few things because some of these things are very detailed. But that's really, again, these are most of, if not all, the major milestones that you need to go through to actually, close a listing. So now is question, conversation, talking time. Let's go, guys. What do you think? There's questions, concerns. What's up?
Hey, Emilio, it's Michael. How about you?
Mike, what's up, my man?
Hey, I'm just driving to upstate right now. Great stuff. I mean, I love the checklist that you have, the listing checklist. The second thing, I love how you're doing hosting your open house, that you have a website created for every listing that you have through Command, and you utilize Command to help lock in the information.
Definitely, man.
Right?
It's easy to do. It's the best.
Right. Right. Now, my question comes to the offers. I love your idea of telling the buyer or the buyer agent that your offer is acceptable but not accepted. How do you handle a multiple offer situation, whereas you give this buyer an acceptable offer, you invite them to do the inspection? How do you stop entertaining all of the offers, or you also like book multiple inspections at the same time until they go under contract?
That's a good question, man. That's a good question. You know what? It kind of is a case by case, but I'll tell you this: I've done both. I've done, acceptable. It's always acceptable. That never changes in terms of the terminology and the expectation that I'm setting on the buyer agent side or the buyer directly. We're always telling them, hey, it's an acceptable offer until the contract is signed. We don't have a deal. Just move urgently. Whatever things we need to do to get there, or how I can help you, let's do it. What may vary case by case is the strength of the deal and the seller and my decision on if we're going to continue to show the property. That usually is what maybe the conversation may be about. However, in terms of multiple acceptable offers, I want to say, especially during the pandemic, where the market has been very active, and a lot of buyers out there, we pretty much, I want to say, on pretty much all of our listings have issued more than one acceptable, if not at the same time, throughout the duration of getting it closed. So in cases like that, what we'll do is we'll be very honest and transparent. We'll tell them, say, hey, directly, hey, just so that you're aware, we're going to be as transparent as we can be. That's still moral and ethical. But we do have somebody else that pretty much is in the same spot that you're in. They're going to be doing an inspection sometime soon. It is in your best interest that if you guys are serious, that you move things along rather quickly. And the feedback that we've gotten from doing things that way is I think because most agents aren't honest about everything that's going on, they usually kind of respect it, and I've never really gotten any issues about it, and they just move quicker, and then we end up getting into contract quicker. So I feel like it's only been to benefit. It hasn't really been anything that I could think of that has like bit us in the butt or anything, or we've lost a potential buyer because they didn't like that we were entertaining someone else. It usually ends up weeding them out in reality. What ends up happening is like, hey, this guy really wasn't serious in the first place. And some competition is kind of making him, fall back, which is, it's fine because we have other things as well too. And if it falls through, then we just go back to that person. So,
okay. But you communicate this through the seller that you want to open up the opportunities for all other potential buyers. We don't want to stick to one buyer until they sign the contract with us.
So the conversation that we're having with the seller on their end is, hey guys, this is the way that we've learned produces the best results, because you don't put all your eggs in one basket. We understand that buyers, more often than not, something happens, something changes, they don't want this, or inspections are more nasty, and it's just like, hey, let's not put all our eggs in one basket. Let's go about it this way. But I've had times where I set that expectation and the seller is still like, hey, I like that guy. Like, let's do business with him. I don't care about, trying to chase anything else. And I'm like, all right, great. No problem.
Gotcha. Excellent. Because that's another person. Because what I usually do with my sellers is I advise them, once we have an accepted offer, we'll tell them that the offer is accepted. You have 1 week to get me back the down payment and to sign the contract. So if they don't get back with me with 1 week, we move to the next one. But we usually honor what we said. We give them a week until we move
I
on to
like
the
that.
next one. But
I
I
like
also
that
like
too,
your
though.
way of doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, listen, I like that too because that is the appropriate amount of time that somebody needs. If any, I have a deal now, and it's actually I'm picking up the pieces because it kind of fell apart. We had this lady pretty much in limbo of trying to finalize the contract and actually sign and put her down payment over a 3 week stretch. Granted,
Gotcha.
one of those weeks was a holiday week, where we lost, on New
Right.
Year's, Christmas, but still, that's a tremendous amount of time. Like that's way too long. And I kind of was a learning lesson for me that, me and the seller already had an agreement where we were going to kind of stop showings because it was that good of a deal. But now that deal isn't happening. So these are the type of things that, again, you try to avoid these things by having some type of systems or understanding. Like you just said, I think a week is a great time. If you have a great deal on the table, giving that person a week, I think it's extremely fair. And I don't think you're missing too much. So I think either approach is good for
Awesome.
sure.
Thank you, buddy. I learned a lot from you. I have to go to my next
Uh,
appointment, so I feel like I
yeah,
take
no
care, man.
problem. Have a good one, Mike. Drive safe, man.
You got it.
So yeah, guys. So I mean, all that being said, is there any other questions, concerns, anything along the process that maybe you guys want some more clarity on, or anything like that before we conclude?
Yeah, Emilio, I had a question. As far as the DTI, what is I guess a sweet number that you look for when you verify a DTI?
You got to speak to the lender. I'm not a lender myself, so don't quote me on this, but I think if I'm not mistaken, it's somewhere in the 50s. I think the max out that a bank will loan out, the DTI needs to be in like the 55, 59 range. I may be exaggerating a little bit, but it's definitely in the 50 percentile. That means the bank, because when a bank is pre-approving somebody, the purchase price, and the taxes, depending on the person's qualifications and their finances, all that stuff could vary tremendously. But what does not vary is that this buyer that you're working with, either working with him directly or that person is trying to buy a listing you have, they have a threshold of a monthly payment that they can't cross. That means they have certain debts, certain income, and their ratio needs to be a certain percentile for payment wise that they can handle, that the bank would be okay with giving them the mortgage. So I know it's in the 50s. I feel like it's somewhere in the 55 to 59% range, but this is a question that you can very easily ask. Preferably you don't want to ask the loan officer you're calling about obviously the deal that you may have. You want to actually ask maybe one of your preferred lenders or any lender that works with our office and say, hey, what's the cutoff point in the DTI for somebody to be qualified for a property? And then that percentile is the number now that you cannot cross over, because obviously it needs to be underneath that, so that person actually gets that person gets approved for that mortgage. So that's kind of hopefully that gives you clarity on that.
No, it does. Thanks.
Okay, awesome. While I wait on potentially one of you guys to ask another question, I am actually going to add in this link for the review that I mentioned to you guys. For any of you that want the checklist, just give me 2 minutes. But any of you could
Hey,
definitely jump in,
Emilio.
ask a question or anything.
Hey,
What's up,
Emilio, it's
Abby?
Abigail.
What's up?
Really great class, man, and we're really
Thank you.
we're proud of you to see your growth with your team, and really awesome to see all of your checklists too.
Thank you,
So
Abby. I learned a lot of that stuff from you guys. Thank you.
No, it's awesome, man. So
That's
my
true.
one question for you has to do with the reviews, right? Because we have tried both ways between asking for reviews prior to closing as well as after. So you had already mentioned that you've had success in asking for reviews prior to. So what is your script, if you have any, that brings you more success to getting those reviews prior to closing?
That's a good question. I have like a text template that I have saved somewhere in my Google Doc that I pretty much copy whenever I'm in that space that I just talked about, where it is that I try to retrieve the review is always when I'm either right about to get clear to close or we've already gotten clear to close. That is the perfect time, I feel like, because the person's excited, they know they're about to close, but then they still need me because we haven't closed. I'll literally copy and paste the same spiel. It's a text typically, just because I know that it's gonna stay obviously in one place. And they can refer back to it. And essentially, it's quite simple. It's just like, hey, such and such We are really excited for you to be to be selling, your property, if obviously they're a seller, and that we made it, through this journey seamlessly. It would mean the world to me, my team, for you to, just kind of share your experience with us, and the things that really brought us together to actually make this happen as a team. So something sort of along the lines of that, and then we actually, we put the links actually in the text, and then typically, they'll usually say, hey, of course, thank you, we appreciate it, and we usually give them like 2 days, assuming we have the 2 days from the point of actually closing, where most of the time we usually do. And if we don't have it within the 2 days, then we'll double back and, hey, listen, please, we know that it's going to be very busy for you once you close. Please take the time to just kind of write a few words on our Google page. If this is going to help us get a lot more, additional business, we would appreciate it. So usually those kind of things are what kind of helps us to actually retrieve it. And like I said, it's definitely been a lot better than it was before with chasing people down. Because after closing, we were having a tough time to get people to simply just go on Google and just write a quick review. People were like making it seem like it was the hardest thing ever. So that is kind of our system.
Thank you. Good aha, man.
Awesome. So yes, anybody else? Any other questions, concerns? All right, cool. So I am actually pulling up now the reviews link. I'm gonna put that for you guys. Just give me a second. Too many things open here. All right. You guys sure you don't have any other questions? Surprised.
There is one in the chat. Patricia
Okay.
just said, can you review what you were talking about regarding the
Using
use of Google
GDoc to
Docs to
manage.
manage information?
Yeah, sure. So pretty much, our best friend for our business, to be quite honest, we use all Google Suite products, Google Doc, Google Drive, and stuff. But if I had to like pinpoint one, obviously aside from Gmail, because Gmail is your emails, that's obviously the most essential. But after that, Google Drive is our best friend. All of our business and everything that we have, the tools that we use, the documentation that we collect, the docs we need to get signed, the blank sheets, all that stuff is in our Google Drive. So those are the G Doc is just essentially, you creating, a Word document within G Drive. So a lot of our checklists, with exception of this one, the other checklists we have, or any other information that we usually put together, we usually use Google Drive, which then allows you to create G Docs to just kind of put in all these things. So that's pretty much what it was that I was referring to in regard to, using GDoc. We have many different templates and all these types of things that, help us, collect people's information, so on and so forth. Hopefully that answers your question. What's up, Patricia? Okay. And my link actually deleted, guys. I'm sorry. So I'm just pulling it up now and writing it in. All right, cool. All right. Maybe I can jump into the room and do it. It's easier this way. All right. So, Christine, I'm gonna jump in on my phone because the link is here. It's a lot easier for me to share it this way. So just allow me in through my phone so I could just put it into the chat.
Yeah. Okay.
Please. All right. Cool. All right. Compose. All right. I actually just sent it to myself.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna add it. I'm gonna add it right now, guys. So again, real simple. This link that I'm putting here is to the REHub Google business page. So if you are interested in getting, just make sure this works. If you are interested in getting the actual checklist emailed over to you, and the cool thing about this checklist is that it's PDF editable. So you literally can you literally can just write into it, like every transaction that you have, which is what it is that we do. You can literally just open up PDF, what is the Adobe, and you can literally just write into this and check off things while you're going over it. So obviously you can use it as is, but you can personalize and kind of make it your own as well, tweak it, do whatever things you like to do. So it is a great asset. It's something that, again, for every transaction we do, we actually follow through ourselves. So I would definitely recommend having a checklist, and if you don't, definitely use this as a model. So the link that I just put in the chat now should take you straight to our page. You just need to log in with your Google. And then, like I said, you want to just, write your experiences of this class. Hopefully, you learn some stuff here. And then from there, you just want to send an email to the email address that I'm putting right here. So that you can just email and just say, let us know that, or let me know that you've done so. I'll send you back the checklist. Okay, is that clear? You guys got that? Okay, thanks so. Okay, I think it was pretty clear. Christina,
No,
you want to say something?
No. Sorry, I unmuted when everyone was laughing. Sorry, you're good.
No, it's all good. So I think
No,
I gave everybody. No, it's cool. I gave everybody instruction on being able. Like I said, if you're interested in getting the checklist yourself, let me stop sharing this. Just write the review, please, and then send me an email, and I will send it right over to you. And I hope you guys enjoyed the class. I hope you learned some stuff. I think when we close this, it's gonna go away. So I will copy over this link if you are interested in doing that, because once we close the Zoom, I think it's gonna go away. Thank you guys for attending this class, and we will definitely be doing the CMA class. I'm gonna talk to Christina about that. Thank you guys for joining Landmark 2. I'm here pretty much on a daily basis. If you need anything, anywhere that I can help, come to the back, our office here, and let's chat. Let's make some money.
Thank you, Emilio. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Bye, guys.
Bye.